At the pinnacle of curling and battles in the most intense games.
Out on the ice, there's no room for compromise.
And when the pressure's on, every millimeter counts.
It's not just a game.
It's about maximizing performance,
Pushing limits.
Seizing victory.
When victory hangs in the balance,
I know what I'm relying on.
It's a gold line.
it's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
And it's the choice of champions.
Last drop. Yep. 8th in. From the Giants. Isabella Brano.
George here with Chelsea Carey. Our game is already underway. We'll get you the lineups anyways. Our feature game here, Team Ha taking on Team Homan.
Right over, go, hard.
For Team Ha, Skip Sungyeon Ha. Third, Kirin Kim. Second, Tai Yang. Lead, Sujin Kim. And for Team Homan, Skip Rachel Homan. Third, Tracy Fleury. Second, Emma Miskew. And lead, Sarah Wilkes. Chelsea, we're already underway here, but we were talking before the game about both these teams, much different schedules for their season. Team Ha playing in basically everything possible. They have 10 qualifications already on their season with one win. For Team Homan, only played in 6 events, won 5 of them, and 1 runner-up.
40-2 record total, I believe, for Team Homan on the season is pretty incredible. And then the amount that Team Ha plays just blows my mind. I'm tired just reading that 10 qualifications already, and it's only January. That's an insane schedule, but they do it every year. It's just the way they come in, and it certainly puts them in a good spot from a points perspective if your body can hold up to that much curling.
Yeah, I can't possibly imagine playing the number of events that they have, too. I mean, we're just looking at the schedule for them for the season.
3, 2,
13 events listed. I think it might even be 14 now.
Wow.
After last week, but we played it. I think the most we ever played in a season was 18 events.
Just tried to open it up to get.
Yeah.
And that was including playdowns. So it's 18, 19, somewhere in there, and this team will easily surpass that based on where they're at right now with, we believe, 14 tournaments played.
Yeah, I think that was kind of, or the most we would have ever played would have been somewhere around there too. It was usually kind of 8 or 9 before Christmas, which was a heavy schedule then. Like that was considered a heavy schedule, and now it's nothing compared to what some of these teams are doing.
Team Ha with hammer. Look, already on the top of the forefoot as well. Kim Soo-jin. Staggered guards on the center details. Not quite exactly where Team Homan was looking for to start things off, and for Team Ha taking that opportunity to go right around and take control.
Yeah, for sure wouldn't have been quite the start they were looking for there, but it's still early in the end. I'm not sure they were able to get that one into the house, so a little less pressure on Team Homan with that, if that's not in. It's hard to tell from here, but
What do you like?
It's a little creative call here from Rachel. Sounds like board weight is what they're playing, trying to come through the hole, but if it clicks the guard, they believe with that weight it'll push the other guard in the house.
Yep. Hard.
it's a good view of it there. The hole is there, but it's not big. This is curling really hard.
Hard. Sarah. Roller shooter.
I don't think that was quite the weight they were looking for either, as call was board. I don't think that was more than hack at most.
Yeah, you wonder if that spot is just, you hear us talk about this probably ad nauseum, but when you're throwing that draw for the hammer, everybody throws everything to the middle, so then sometimes in the first end, through any path that isn't that path to the middle, which that would have been right on the center line, it's just that little bit of fresh pebble because it doesn't get broken down in practice, so you wonder if that's what it was that kind of pulled the weight off, and because that happened, it curled a mile for Emma Miskew there.
If you've watched and listened to the slam coverage throughout the season, that is something that we've harped on repeatedly, is that particular track too. Just off the center line, crossing center early in the game. You really need to make sure you're there. I'm sure Rachel knows that as well. Trying to play a split here. That doesn't quite touch, but we'll make a tap and roll underneath. That's not a bad result.
Still a pretty good result. Yeah, that wasn't plan A, but maybe it should have been. It's pretty good.
We don't run that in.
Make sure they're just coming around again. We run out, we probably stagger our rocks, they're coming around again. Okay, go this way, maybe get it.
Yeah, I like that.
Sorry, it's hard to hear.
Rachel worried about where the shooter ends up if they make this run. They don't want to stagger the guards and let Ha come underneath.
Which is a fair concern. I think you probably have to run this back, so you just gotta hope that it doesn't hook perfectly.
It's more open.
And they actually ran the other. I don't know if that was the intention, but ended up on the wide side and clears neither of the rocks in the house.
Yeah, just a little bit too high. If you clipped, I think in a perfect world you were trying to clip that top yellow rock and roll, but I think the reason they were trying to hit it on that high side is exactly what we heard Rachel say, what you were just saying, where if she hits it on the low side, she's rolling towards her own guard and then potentially creates a stagger. But either way, hit that just a little bit too high and essentially became a straight peel.
거면 여기.
나는 여기. 이것도 나쁘진 않. 그림 자체는 괜찮을 것 같아. 그림은 괜찮을 것 같아.
I think so.
Well, the conversation just about rock placement, how to not set up any type of doubles or triples.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where you're almost in too good of shape too early that you're going, where do I put this rock now to not leave a triple or something to let Team Homan off the hook here.
야,
And
잠깐만.
the out turn draw under the wide corner
라인은
guard.
좋아. 비. 맵 뜰게. 나갈 수도 있어.
야안
뜰게.
나가.
나갈
Wait
수도 있어.
here.
안 나가.
Just need
그냥
to
냅두면
have
될 것.
paint.
안 나가.
냅둘게.
Stops in the back of the 12-foot buried. Would like to have that above the tee line if possible, as it doesn't leave another catcher or a double at some point in the end. And Rachel now looking at that hit and roll.
How much we?
Knows they have the yellow as a stopper over there too.
Probably normal.
So Tracy Fleury's first here of this feature matchup. Normal pass,
Whoa.
trying to roll underneath, but the double
Curl.
also an option.
Whoa. Curl. For any roll. I don't think we're rolling anywhere.
That just ends up nose. So Chelsea's wrong side of the options
Yeah,
there.
여기까지.
Would like to over curl if anything.
이렇게까지
Has to
괜찮아.
add that double, but ends up on the nose.
Yeah, I think that spot is maybe just a hair straight. That's where Emma's went straight to, but Rachel did also say roll right out of Tracy's hand, so maybe a little bit wide or a little bit more set, but certainly not very forgiving there. It doesn't seem for it to come back at all if you do start it that little bit wider. But yeah, definitely had a lot of good options to cross it and roll somewhere. So missed opportunity there a little bit for Trace.
센터로 가자. 오케이.
Team High would really like to roll underneath here if they can. Him here in, playing the same out turn Tracy
Whoa,
Fleury
that-
through.
워. 클린. 워. 얍. 얍. 워. 컬.
스테이 계속. 아직 스테이야. 스테이야.
10초 이륙?
He's up just on the nose too. Not a bad spot.
웨이트 괜찮다.
Again, just that little bit straighter there. It seems that it's catching both teams off guard a bit with this particular out turn. So another chance here for Tracy to make the same hit and roll she just played. It looks like Rachel's given her a little bit less ice.
Team's getting more aggressive with the broom now.
Whoa. Yep, line. Whoa.
That over rolls to the open between those two red stones. So some trouble here for Team Homan in the first.
이게 안쪽으로 가는 게 제일 베스트긴 한데. 야, 약간 느낌만.
Yeah, right in between there. A little bit more roll would have been okay. A little bit less roll would have been perfect.
A little error there from Rachel as they were kind of on off and does roll too far.
Do you think she's trying to roll under the inside guard or the away around the
I
outside
would
guard?
think
here?
away would probably be your best spot here. Either roll is good.
컬 많이 와야 돼. 계속 오자. 계속 가야 돼. 이거 아직
He
바깥쪽이야.
wants to get it to curl.
계속 오자.
That just ends up
11.
nose too, but really not a lot of great options for Homan still.
자, 몇 시야 백? 아, 태인가?
핸들이 바깥.
For Team Ha, really, Chelsea, there wasn't a bad spot for them to end up on. I think the inside roll is the worst one because if Rachel makes the roll back, now it's near impossible to get to.
And if you made the inside roll really well, she might have looked to throw the freeze, which is really scary to throw, but if she ever makes it, it all goes away. So the thing is that like the doubles are here, but I don't know that either of them is all that good. I think you have to roll this
Like hack?
towards the inside. to buried and be second shot.
Yeah.
I think that's probably your best bet.
It probably takes 3 out of the picture, as anything Team Ha would throw after
They
that,
tried to carve it.
Homan
and it
could
fell.
always hit
Do you know
number
what
1.
time they just threw?
Yeah, it's going to be hard not to give up 2, but it should be.
Okay.
It should make a 3 difficult if she makes this shot.
I'll keep it there. They carved it, it fell more.
Heard Rachel say they carved it and it fell more. So on some ice surfaces, it's very dependent on the surface, how effective that carve is. That's that sweeping to make it curl.
Girl.
And there are some spots where it's so straight that any broom on the rock, no matter how you're sweeping it, does make it fall even more. So just a little bit cognizant of, because at some point you're better off to not try to carve it and just leave it alone, because the carve is just making it worse. It's making it go even straighter. So
Like it was.
That rock
Fell the
doesn't
whole
roll
way.
enough, even with being on the wide side, to be underneath. So
yeah, I heard Rachel say it fell the whole way.
Team Ha might chase
I
that
thought
red
so
stone
too.
and sit 3.
I'm a little surprised by that. It's not the easiest chase in the world, but it looks like it's there. You could get, as long as you get to nose, you're fine. And if you could ever get a little bit low, it really puts the pressure on Rachel.
I don't know that you're ever playing for more than 2 playing this shot, too.
I agree.
Unless, I mean, if you completely bury it, Rachel's still hitting the number 1 counter and giving you 2.
Yeah.
You stagger it like they're trying to. They're trying to Christmas tree it a little bit, but you can't bury enough of it. I don't think that it helps enough on this shot.
No, you can force her to have to stick, but it's going to be a makeable shot to stick. And then if she were to roll out, I guess maybe you end up with your 3. But I think if you were playing aggressively for 3, you'd be playing the chase, not this draw.
It would be really difficult for Rachel to not give 3, I think, if you
If you
make
made it,
that
yeah. Definitely. It's just, I think they're maybe just a little afraid of what it's going to do in a new spot. And,
Sure.
and with that in turn being so straight, we just saw Rachel and like both teams just threw that in and it didn't do anything. So that might mean that out turn really curls. So I think maybe the only reason I can think is that maybe there's just that little bit of uncertainty. Because I think if this was a different end and they felt comfortable, I think you'd see them playing that chase.
라인 그대로 와줘. 아니 거창에 가야 돼. 웨이트만. 라인은 좋아. 진짜 웨이트만. 라인 잡지 마. 테이. 룸. 테이. 뛰어오자.
They want to bury half of this if they can.
라인 컷. 그냥 라인 너무 와야 돼. 그냥 라인 때문에. 더 오자.
Pretty good spot. If you're going to play that shot, that's about perfect.
I don't think he could have made it a whole lot better than that.
I was thinking just a dead freeze to this.
Oof.
Not see anything else. You?
Yeah, they don't like chasing number
You can
2,
get cute and
apparently.
do this. This looks tough. There's just not enough curl. No. there
Yeah,
isn't.
I think that's the thing is that
What?
they're just seeing all these rocks run straight and they're
They
a little
hit for
bit
3.
spooked.
It's right there. The middle of that broom, Trace. Yeah.
So playing the freeze to the number 1 counter in the back of the 4-foot.
15 and a half.
15 and a half, the call
Yeah.
on hog to hog.
Yeah, so compared to, I don't know what the last game was like for you guys, but
touch
compared to the
center.
game I called this morning, it was a high 14, maybe 15 to the tee line, but it had a little bit more curl. So to me, that would suggest a little faster
foot
and
more
a
in
little
drop
straighter.
or- Just someone's walking behind our scoreboard and moving. I'll be on your path. They hit edge of 4. Yeah. Like, what is she doing?
There's an
Can you get
official
her to move?
behind the sheet speaking to the teams during the game here. Sure exactly what she's doing. She's still moving around behind the sheet.
She needs to get out of the way here.
15 and a half.
Yeah, Can't argue with Rachel there.
No,
that would bother me.
That's not okay. The official's not supposed to be out there while the teams are throwing.
I think it's all there. I think it's all there. Room. Whoa. Room.
I know it's
Just
fast,
7.
but it still looks like
Touch
it needs
center.
to go.
Curl.
I had 15 on that, so if Rachel's right about 15 and a half, then this is a little bit heavy.
Curl.
It's good now,
Looks
as long as
close.
it doesn't bounce. Yeah, really well done by Homan. Good job of staying focused there from Rachel. Big shot to avoid a possible 3.
It is another argument, though, that the shot that Team Ha threw maybe wasn't the right shot, because that your shooter just became a guard for her to make that. So if you play the chase and you make it, then if she makes this perfect freeze, you could blast it out of there. But as it stands, I don't think you can. Yeah, you force your opponent into playing the one shot that can kill your end. Right. That's exactly what Rachel did. Yeah, you force them into a really hard, high-pressure shot, but if she makes it, it all goes away. So, not sure about that call. But nonetheless, a really good clutch shot by Rachel there. Final stone, first end. Ah Sung-yeon now forced into a draw for 1.
좋아. 웨이트만. 라인은 그대로. 잡지 마. 웨이트만. 랩. 라인.
This rock still has not
라인
started
좋아.
curling.
라인 그대로.
Finally turning over now.
라인 좋아. 라인 진짜 좋아. 라인 좋아. 라인이 괜찮아.
That's really well done there by the skip. So will be a single for Team Ha. They lead Team Homan 1-0 after 1 end.
When you've conquered another game, a long day, a job well done, and the final work call, we're your place. Come as you are and fit in comfortably. Mr. Mike's. Eat locally, enjoy casually.
So after the end, looked like could be multiple points for Team Ha. For the vast majority, ends up just being a single. They lead 1-0 over Team Homan after 1 end in our feature matchup. Kim Soo-jin throwing the in-turn guard to start things off.
라인은 그대로. 라인
Chelsea,
좋아.
we were discussing between the ends again that decision by Team Ha to throw the draw to the top of the forefoot and stagger really forced Rachel into playing the one shot that could get her out of the end, and that shot's not there if you throw basically anything else. You know, if you vary completely, then Rachel's hitting and rolling. And it's still trying, it's a much tougher shot trying to avoid it too. If you hit the other counter, you sit 3.
Like the line, the center line here?
And you're almost assuredly
Center
getting
line
2
off,
or more. Yeah. So as much as it felt like you're making the situation tougher on Team Homan, you're still forcing them into the one shot that can kill your end. Yeah, you make it tougher. You make her throw a really hard shot, but it's a shot that means she gets out of everything completely. So after some uncharacteristic misses throughout that end by Team Homan, you don't want to leave Rachel a bail shot, which is kind of what you did by putting that rock there.
It
And
looks
of
like
course,
it's coming down, curl.
in true Rachel Homan form, she makes no mistake, and all of a sudden,
Needs to
what
move
wasn't
over.
really a very
Curl.
well-played end that should have been probably a 2 or a 3
Curl,
for Team
please.
Ha
It's a
becomes a
center line
force
guard. It's not in.
because of a perfect freeze
for
by
sure
Rachel
not in.
that you set up for her by throwing basically what's a tighter guard on that shot
16-1.
stone. Yeah, if I'm playing it against Rachel Homan, the one sentence I don't want to be saying is, we
She's
gave
talking
Rachel
around
an out.
position while I was in that.
Yeah, exactly. she has to make it, and you go, well, maybe she'll miss it, and then we get a million. Well, yeah, but if she makes it, it's not even 2 points anymore. You just wanted to leave her something where if she made it, you were still getting 2.
라인은
Well,
괜찮아.
I don't want to say we gave Rachel an out. I'm never saying I hope she misses it.
아, 빠르다.
Thanks. Good team shot.
2 guards to start the end off. Corner guard there from
13이야.
Sarah Wilkes.
몇이에요?
This one is flying right now for Kim Soo-jin. Will go all the way through.
I think so.
Doesn't take much, Chelsea, with these conditions right now with it running straight and fast, that even just a little bit extra weight can go right through.
Yeah, it's the kind of ice surface where you really have to, it almost feels like you're not moving, and so it can mess with your head a little bit because you feel like you're light all the time, but it's also, usually when it's this straight and this fast, it's also very conducive to sweepers, to dragging it a really long way. So you're trying to throw a tight guard and letting your sweepers take it, where if you're a little bit heavy, it's not going to curl and come off, which on some ice surfaces and different conditions we do see that happen, but certainly not the case in this game so far.
Whoa, I think here. 14.97.
Interesting spot for the corner guard there from Wilkes, but she gets right around just above the T line. Chelsea, we do see that sometimes when the ice is a little straighter that they throw those guards tight so they have the option to use it as a tap as well. So maybe that was Rachel's thinking there, or maybe it just coasted and didn't curl.
Yeah, I think in a perfect world they would have liked that a little bit wider out. I think, what would you say, like towards middle to edge of 8 rather than that one's basically edge of 4. So
closer to edge 8, yeah.
Yeah, I think that maybe under curled by a little bit, and I don't know if it was an intention or just ran a little straighter than they expected, but no mistake from Sarah on the second one. Gets it perfectly wrapped around there and just on the front side of the T line.
This one with a ways to curl still too.
It looks a little heavy as well. Perfect line with the right weight. Just that little bit of extra weight means that break point gets delayed at that tiny little bit, and that can be enough to get you in some trouble, which that one might.
Right up for shot. 15, I got 15.
So 15 on that one and 15 on
I
Sarah.
got a 15 on this.
It got faster in just from that one rock going down there, because Rachel said she had a 15 on Sarah's, and then she also had a 15 for Team Ha, and it slid an extra 3 or 4 feet. So probably just that little bit faster, the second one down the path.
Line's a little tight. Yep, hard.
We heard in the previous draw,
Really
Brad
hard.
Jacobs calling the ice
gotta go,
lightning
Sarah.
right
Hold the
now
line.
with how fast it
Whoa,
is, and
where?
if anything, even a little
Whoa,
bit
girl.
faster in this draw.
It's bouncing. Curl. Curl. Yep, keep going. Just curl. Just curl. Good.
Good spot there from Miscu.
Great, Josh.
The other thing to think about too is that as a player, it's important. The times are a great tool, and you talk about 15, but depending on the surface, the sliding surface and all that, 15 on the clock can feel like a 16 underfoot, or it can feel like a 14 underfoot. So sometimes it feels even faster than the times, which I'm sort of getting the impression that this ice, in this draw anyway, might be.
It's manageable, I think, first up, but I think after that, you know,
Run back attempt here from Yang Tai. Just loses one, pushes the other undercover right on the T line.
It's pretty unlucky. That was really close to perfect, and I don't know that it could have worked out a whole lot worse.
it's hard not to leave it double. You'd have to go here.
It's crazy to hit and roll. I worry.
What do you like?
I was just worried about them freezing it at some point.
Do that.
I actually kind of like that, even though it seems counterintuitive to hit a rock that's guarding your #1 counter. That's the rock that's going to hurt you the most later in the end.
Yeah, I don't mind it either. You get two things out of it. You get buried behind the corner guard, and you eliminate the center guard. That might be the one that
My best guess would be here.
gets you into trouble, because eventually they're going to throw. Eventually, Team Hall will throw a freeze on that, and then it can be the exact same thing that we just saw Rachel do, where it takes away your whole end.
You got to right there with the, inside this handle. So I'm assuming this is going to curl.
What's the weight?
Do you like hack?
Solid, like solid hack? Yeah.
Heard them say solid hack. So just that heavy hack weight. Should be able to control this with the sweeping, and with it being that little bit straighter, you can throw less weight and not be afraid of it taking off. When we see more curl in the ice, you might see them throw this a little bit harder than that.
Whoa.
They're playing the hack weight hit,
Clean.
trying to roll away under the corner.
Curl. Okay, that makes sense. They hit the right piece, just too much weight maybe.
Just a little heavy, but does clear that off. And Chelsea, this goes back to our point in the first end too, that Rachel doing the polar opposite of what Team Ha did. We're still early in the end, but she's looking at it as, where's their out?
Yes.
We're set up really well right now. How could they get out of trouble? And it's that center guard. That's the rock that can hurt them. Rachel wastes no time on second stones, hitting that rock and rolling away. Now, they didn't make it perfectly, but even just clearing it as they did and rolling out still is a better situation, because all that's in play for guards is a corner guarding one of your stones above the tee line. So you're looking at a solid 2 right now, even with that half make.
Exactly, and if you made that well, you might bring a 3 into play potentially.
Sure,
so a smart call there, I think. Like you say, which rock is it that's going to get you in trouble? It's that center guard that was going to be the trouble rock.
Nice run back there. Third Kim Hee-rin. But still a good situation for Team Homan to try to get their 2. And for Rachel's thought process there too, Chelsea, it wasn't just that they were taking their out away, they were actually playing an offensive shot at the same time.
Yeah,
so they're still setting up 3, not just guaranteeing 2.
Exactly. It's the exact same thing you used to see a lot of teams do before the no-tick rule, where you'd play a tick on the center guard and roll behind your corner guard. Not only do you eliminate their out, which is the center guard, but you get the same result as well that you would get with a straight draw. So you get 2 shots in one. It's anytime you can do that, it's a good thing to consider.
This one going deep. Won't even stay for second. So big error there. Tracy Fleury is now Team Ha can hit and sit 2. Revolving door of coaches for Team Homan throughout the season. Chelsea, am I seeing right? Is that Victor Schell back there now?
Yeah, I think so. Victor is the high performance coach for Curling Canada for the women. So often he'll be at the Slam and he'll spend a game or 2 with one team and a game or 2 with another team. And was, I believe, with Team Homan all through the Pan-Continental as well. So they'd be very familiar with him. But yeah, definitely a little bit of a curveball thrown into their plans when Brendan Botcher accepted his new position on Team Guju, was going to be Team Homan's coach, and was for the first little bit of the season.
No, I think if you have a coach at any point in the season for a Slam, they should be eligible to be on your bench, and you expand the number that you can have for your national competition. So Team Homan could have, 7, 8 coaches on their bench?
Yeah, at least.
Throw them all back there.
Yeah, they could.
Let's get a full football-style coaching staff.
Yeah. They've had plenty. They had Paul Webster for a game or 2. They had Jennifer Jones for a game or 2 in another Slam. They've come at it from all directions, that's for sure.
Was Donnie B back there too at some point? I feel like maybe he was.
I don't think he was this season. He was their coach before when they won the Worlds, but
that's probably they all run together now.
Yeah.
I just can't remember at what point they were there.
Wanted to get inspiration so that they wouldn't just slash it.
Spin around the other sheets as well. We're on sheet A. Anderson taking on Skrillik. Anderson with a 5-0 lead after 2. On sheet C, Fujisawa and Tabata. Tabata with a 1-0 lead after 2. And over on sheet D, Team Laws taking on Team Rana. 2-2 after 2 ends of play. Glad that one's tied because their names aren't on the scoreboard right now at the break. So I couldn't tell you who was ahead if somebody was.
라인 좋아. 라인 와야 돼. 라인 좋아. 웨이트만. 라인 좋아.
Outturn come around here. Ha Sung-young trying to just corner freeze there. That's pretty well done.
Pretty good. Would have maybe liked to bounce a hair less, but just had to be sitting 2. You couldn't lose that line on that one. Rachel choosing to ignore the Team Ha shot stone, which I'm not surprised at. I think that's the right call, and make a draw and force her to make a freeze. And they make the freeze pretty well. Did bounce off a tiny bit, so she's looking at getting, if she can get a little low on this, a little to the inside of this rock and kind of almost a flop under the guard, it puts a lot of pressure on Team Ha.
Tracy's was just by the center line, and you dragged it out farther.
Sorry, here, reach.
I think center line.
Center line.
Back line. To carve it by the guard. Okay, 14-8.
Delicate shot here for Rachel Homan. Trying to get inside. Soft weight. We'll call it a hit and roll. They don't really care if they kill the stone, but need to move it out of the 4-foot.
Keep going. Keep going.
Wilkes trying to get it to turn.
Keep going, Sarah. Keep going, Sarah.
Hard, Sarah.
Touches the other red, but does move the yellow to the back 12.
So close the right way today.
I don't know if she can hit this on the nose and be shot, though, can she, Tyler? Do you think she has to roll to the center line a little bit?
Hard to tell. Well, maybe we'll look at it from the overhead position here and see.
Weight was really close.
It's close on the nose,
so.
but I don't think it's quite good enough. I think you have to lean a little towards the center line, so it's going to be hard not to leave a double back here for Rachel Homan.
맞아요. 얇게 봐보자.
It's tough not to jam on anything back here. It's kind of nice that it didn't go all the way out.
Yeah, exactly.
It was an auto.
Looks like they're just playing straight double. Not even concerned about the shooter, as they are sitting second and third if they make the double, regardless of where the shooter goes.
Yeah, there's a lot of jams back there, and it might backfire on you. Could make a great shot and still be giving up 2 or 3.
Now they're really looking at angles to make sure that that doesn't happen, but there are some bad spots to hit it.
Well, because you got to worry about your shooter a little bit too. If it comes over and clips this yellow, that could be bad as well.
Their jaws were doing anything. So keep it there at 7/8 ties.
It's one that, because of the jam possibilities, you'd like to throw it hard, but because clipping your own being a possibility,
yeah, you don't want
then
to.
throwing
Yeah.
it hard is a problem.
Yeah.
좀 많이 튈 것 같은데 잘못 맞으면. 아, 노말? 제거가 먼저라 난 필도 괜찮을 것 같긴 해. 쟤 빼지 마. 아.
Well, we'll find out.
Ha's final stone.
Clean. Yep.
Trying to make the double and not jam on the back.
This is over curling on her, I think.
Oh, it just touches the other red.
Oh, a worst case scenario.
And that will be
Just can't have it
open
flow,
hit
right?
for
I don't wanna
3
throw
now
any
for
more weight than
Homan
that.
all of a sudden.
4. I don't think it's going to do anything. This is the straighter side. I'm throwing board to keep it there. Similar to that one.
So Rachel
Like
say
I
straighter
can't
side.
hit it high side. I can hit it on the inside and roll out and we get 2.
It doesn't mean the other side is curling. Both
Keep it
sides are
there,
running pretty
75
straight, but
is
she
my best
believes this
guess.
one's straighter yet. She's playing somewhere around board weight with the broom on the middle of the stone.
Yeah, and you heard her say board with a keep it there, and she's referring to one of, they have 3 different releases on Team Homan, so keep it there, I believe, is the middle of the 2. Straight through is the least positive, and positive is the most aggressive release, and so keep it there kind of in the middle.
M! Hard M!
It's a little bit of a late curl, but no problem there. is indeed 3 for Rachel Homan. After 2 ends, leading Team Ha 3-1.
Peace of mind, confidence, and financial independence. At World Financial Group, we believe your path to any of these goals is paved by financial education. That's why our agents spend every day empowering individuals and families of all backgrounds with the knowledge to make choices that fit their goals. No matter your financial goals, WFG can help you own your future. Visit worldfinancialgroup.com to learn more.
Homan coming through with 3 in the second end, taking the 3-1 lead over Team Ha. Chelsea, we said during the break, it looked like a pretty solid 3 at the start of the end, and then completely out of danger, and then, no, okay, now 3's back. And they do hang that 3 on the scoreboard, but twists and turns in that second end.
Yeah, and it wasn't even really a miss by Team Ha that created that. It was with the got a miss out of Tracy to make it turn, basically turn it into a force. And then Rachel made a good draw, and Team Ha made a pretty good freeze, but overswept it just that tiny little bit. And then Rachel making got a little bit fortunate, honestly, with just touching that back one enough that she moved it to a spot where Team Ha couldn't have. If you could have just hit that on the nose and forced, then that's what they would have done. But they decided to take on the triple and got a bit of bad luck with that. Just kissing the second rock and then perfectly dead stuff jamming on the back one is pretty unlucky, but it was a possibility. So went from a force to a 3 in a pretty big hurry there.
3. Okay. Line's good.
Good.
Line's okay. Well,
I think it's there.
real.
Okay. There.
Kind of looks in. 16-1. Shouldn't hold the line if you can. Really good. Great judge.
Good tight center guard there from Wilkes. Usually if you throw something that starts with 16 for hog to hog, you're not overly concerned about if it's going to be short or not. That one does just hit the brakes barely in time. Good corner guard back from Kim Soo-jin.
You got room.
3-1 lead. Homan electing to come around the tight center.
Hard line. Hard. Drag it. Line's really good. Drag it. Distance.
Yeah,
Don't
I
need
think
to
you
hold it.
see a lot of teams actually go in on your first one being up 3-1, but electing to throw the guard first. Usually in a situation where you're up 3-1, it doesn't really matter because they're not going to hit the rock in the house anyway, so it's kind of whichever way you feel is easier. You could go in first and then guard it, or you throw the guard first and then go around it, because either way you're going to end up with those 2 rocks in a pretty similar position.
And generally with straighter ice, you see the opposite
Exactly.
decision made.
Yeah,
where
that's what I
it's,
was just going to say.
yeah, easier to guard the rock in the house and not come around.
Yeah, typically your option to do what she did there would be, because the ice curls so much that guards are really hard when the ice is swinging a lot, which isn't the case today, but nonetheless, not the perfect result on the come around, so door open a crack here for Team Ha.
Yeah, I'd much rather be throwing the open draw on straight ice to the house and then the straight line guard.
Yeah.
Guards are much easier to throw on straighter
On
ice,
straight
too.
ice, yeah, definitely.
15-1.
Far be it from me to question a skip on a 40-2 run, but
True.
and it's not as much as it's a right or wrong as it's just what's the easier way to do it, because the end result is going to be the same.
Yes, correct.
With where those 2 rocks are.
Line's the same. Line's really good.
Looking for the freeze here. Don't even need to be frozen, just need to be above it and
Clean.
shot 1 and 2.
Curl. Down 7, 8. Curl. Keep going. Can't
Saw
hurt it.
Team Epping play this shot
Good.
multiple
Keep going, keep
times
going.
in the last men's draw against Team
Really good.
Jacobs, following Stone's under corner guards without hammer and playing freeze. One's very well made.
좋으면 푸시해줘.
Yeah, for Team Ha, just sliding a little bit deeper than they would have wanted to on that shot and opening the door for that freeze. If that was above the tee line, you might have seen Rachel play something on the center line rocks. You also might have seen her throw a long guard if those rocks were better. The 2 red rocks, if they were better, more stacked and more closer to the 4-foot. But given the situation, when that went behind the tee line, I think the freeze is the right call and made very well there.
웨이트 먼저, 웨이트 봐줘. 아웃. 수지, 빠르면 안 돼. 아니, 아직 빨라서. 스트레이트,
Just trying to
스트레이트.
make sure they stay on the high side but don't bounce.
언니 와야 돼. 조금 와줘.
Very well done. Great draw.
Almost lost the line, but I think they got away with it.
Rachel taking a look now.
It's close.
다운되면서 돌고 있어가지고. We go to the middle.
They're coming off their own. Probably can get top 8.
Yeah.
Fighting 4s as far as you can get.
How deep? Deep.
Touch the 4.
Touch the 4.
Rachel concerned
Fine is
about,
all we need.
and she's right, rightfully so, concerned about Team Ha coming off that rock that they just threw on the side. If this is kind of on the tee line or so, then she has that available to her and she could move a couple of red rocks and end up buried over there. So wanting this to be just full 8, bite 4-foot, no deeper.
Easy. We need center line. 6. That's too much. 4-foot. Okay. Yep.
Just trying to throw it to top 8 now, but this is
Whoa. Wait only.
top ring.
Hard then. Curl. 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 Got a girl. Just carve. Just carve.
Go there, go, go. Just about your 4. Keep going.
That's a
Carve,
really
carve,
good
carve,
shot
carve.
there.
Nice.
No worries.
Exactly where Homan was looking for, touching top 4-foot.
Really well swept by Sarah Wilkes. That's you're sweeping for weight and for line and you're swinging around and doing all the things and ends up in the perfect spot.
Just the days when it was just yes or no with sweep. You want me to do what with it?
Yeah, there's way more options than that now.
이렇게?
이제 한 번 다 건들자. 이렇게. 이쪽으로. 진 거 같은데? 너는?
비슷한. 나는 빨간 게 나도 빨간 게 이긴 거 같아. 여기 40이 좋을 것 같아. 그래 맞는데 한 번 더. 여기.
Looking to clear some front rocks here, make a couple reds go away, probably roll at least roll the shooter away, if not lose it altogether.
See how many Yang Tai can get moving here.
Don't want to hear curl right away on a big weight shot. It's usually not a good sign, and that will be
Usually
too
not an
thin.
effective tactic either.
No, it's usually it doesn't make it any worse, but it's kind of a wing and a prayer to be trying to curl anything that's more than maybe even control would be questionable. More than kind of that board bumper usually is the most weight that you can get to curl it all.
Quick call from Homan to replace the guard. Tracy Fleury's first.
Okay, clean. Just drag it for distance. Hard then. Lots of room.
Just straight guarding the #1 counter.
Curl. Touch center line. Okay, touch center line. Hard. Curl. Curl. Can't hurt it. Curl. Curl. Okay, you're good.
Well done there from Fleury. Taking on the double. Feel they have a lot of option here. Interesting to see which of those rocks is closer.
Yeah, I'm still curious about that because it makes a big difference at this point in the end.
Yeah, really well done. It's the perfect amount to not jam on their own stone as well. If you really wanted to get cute, you could have thinned it a little more and tried to touch
the red.
The other red.
Yeah.
Then we don't have to worry about who's closer.
Would have made it clearer for us up here in the booth. We would have appreciated that.
Would have been nice. Rachel just looking to nose here and keep this position.
Curl.
This one really hanging now. Finally starting to turn.
Curl a little.
I'm trying to roll it to the opposite side. It just staggers under the center, so I think those rocks may move a little bit now.
I'm not sure why they would have wanted to stagger that. I think I would have preferred to just hit that on the nose, wouldn't you?
I'm assuming that they wanted to roll all the way over.
Maybe.
And try to go to the other side of the guard, but just wasn't going to get there. I think Rachel was just saying that too now. It just wasn't going to carve. So I think that means they wanted to roll to the opposite side of the guard, but just
that makes more
wasn't
sense.
going to happen.
Yeah, didn't want to end up in between there.
Yeah, and maybe once they knew it wasn't going to get that far, just tried to make the straight roll underneath so it didn't stagger. What do you think, Chelsea? Is this a position where you want to take that draw around away from Homan and play it first? Or do you play two of these stones here? And they're even looking at maybe playing a hit and roll off of their own.
Yeah, I think you need to, there we go. I was going to say, you need the overhead here to, because that red just always jams there, so I'm not sure a hit and roll is really going to help you. I think a red's going to end up second shot. And if that's the case, then I would rather just throw the draw to your point, and then just don't go deep so deep that you completely kill your scoring area. You want it to be kind of full 8 foot buried, and then you maybe force Rachel into a draw even that way. But if you leave yours partially open, you could use it. But I don't see a lot of good things happening with this combo here that doesn't end up with that red being closer to the 4 foot than the yellow is going to be.
It's a difficult tap, too, even if
really
they were
hard
just
tap.
trying to come to their own stone and stack on top. The angles just don't play into a good spot where that red doesn't kick back towards the center of the sheet.
Yeah, that's the problem, is with any weight, the red's going to kick back towards the center line and likely end up, and you have to, I don't think you can get to nose with any kind of weight, so you're hitting it on the center line side, you're shooting your yellow the wrong way, and the red's coming back the opposite way.
It's either the shooter or the raised rock is going the wrong direction.
Right. So you could make it to sit 1, but I don't think you could make it to sit 2, and so if that's the case, then why wouldn't you just draw to sit 1?
Yeah, and then take your measure at the end, if it gets to it, and hope you get an extra point. For reference here on the clocks, Chelsea, our previous game, I saw a number in the 6th end I've never seen before. John Epping's team had 18.5 minutes left with 4 rocks left in the 6th.
Wow.
Team Haas
Speed curling.
getting close to 20 minutes here. And we're in the 3rd end. I've never seen a team with 18 minutes plus left halfway through the 6th.
I don't even know how you would do that.
They finished the game with 6 minutes.
Oh, so they used it
So
eventually.
they used it all in the last 2.5 ends. But yeah, for Team Ha, you need to start thinking about your clock a little bit right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even Team Homan's not swimming in time, but they're in a little bit better shape than Team Ha. So a little slow in the first part of the game here. Going to have to And that's what you want to avoid. Some of these situations have been important, and you need to talk about them. But where you really want to have time to talk is in the back half of the game when you get close to the end. And so, if you do this early, then you're rushing through those parts, and that's going to hurt you more most of the time than if you just tried to speed it up a little bit more early on.
Maybe they need to play more games this season.
Yeah.
That is not the case. So they do play the tap, and now that double looks to be lined up for Team Homan with the roll as well.
Looking to see whose second shot. That was our concern, that you probably couldn't sit 2 out of it. She got close, but even if she's left this double.
Double, is barely there. I might hit my own. I have to hit like here. It's really flat.
It's a shot over that one too. Even if you make this,
even if you make this,
so that double is a little more staggered than it looks like.
What it does here with my peel.
So thinking the shooter's got to go away to make the double, in which case you're still looking at 2.
For sure, I just don't know. I don't know what it's gonna do. Okay, so here, what turn do you like?
I'm expecting this to fall a little bit. This is that spot we saw in the first end, both teams getting fooled a bit with how straight it was. So she's taking almost a rock of negative ice here.
Need a lot, yeah, less ice.
Yeah, so that looks like ice for the in-turn. It's not. She's going to throw an out-turn at this.
Yeah, and playing the turn that will kick off less, hoping that the shooter still sticks around.
Expecting this to fall back from the broom a little bit.
Homan playing peel.
No. No.
Showing no concern for where the shooter ends up on this line.
nice, right?
Does clip the back one, but doesn't lose it. A good shot there from Homan. And Team Ha forced into playing the draw around the center.
턴이 낫지 않아?
각은
그래,
없어.
잼은 못 잡아.
잼각이 없어. 딱히.
아웃사이드 나을 것 같아. 8 마늘 나. 7, 8.
What's your ideal depth here, Chelsea, coming around the centers?
저기 되게
My first thought is just full 4. Even half 4, I think, is okay. If you go any deeper, then Rachel just freezes, and you're going to have a hard time scoring too. Yep. If you go any higher, then she might wrap around the whole thing, or it makes her little. She could play a little double run here. It's fairly short, so I think
Just full 4.
Just full 4 is my thought. Tolerance of being only half 4 rather than being full button is not where you want it.
라인 그대로 흘리네. 라인은 좋아. 라인은 아니 라인. 자 라인.
Ah Sung-yeon
라인 잡아.
going to get shot rock around the center.
라인은 좋아. 기다려. 냅둘게.
Plenty of weight right now. You need to hit the brakes.
라인은 그대로야.
It's going to be behind the tee. You don't want to leave it backside a button. It's up, biting back 4.
맞아.
Are you going right down to it?
I think so.
Yeah.
So Homan will be able to follow.
If I'm here, I'm okay.
Yeah, I think ideally to it. Okay,
As long as I'm buried, I'm okay
sure.
up here.
This is a good example of different players and the way their rocks run. We just saw Team Ha throw their draw
I got a 15-foot.
edge of 8 foot, and Rachel taking about a foot less
She was
ice.
tight and they hit it hard. Yeah, I think we can hold it. If it's wide, weld it, and if the line's really good, you top
I think right to it, because if you leave an edge, there could.
Yeah, it's line dependent for sure.
Right to it.
I think the same weight that I threw is going to be close. Yeah.
I think if you get away with 2 feet less.
A lot
do
of
wanna be back
analysis
4.
here on the
I
tracks.
think super T and go at the end.
Exactly.
It's okay for a sliver light.
How deep they'll go based on the line. Rachel saying she's very happy to leave it top side of button as long as it's buried. But otherwise, they're playing the freeze.
Too much, Ed. Take a look. Okay. Wait only. Got lots of room.
Did you hear Tracy Fleury say that there's a possible thin double if there's a piece showing?
Light. Hard, looks light. Hard, M, hard. Hard. Oh, ear might be there. Curl a bit.
And so they do play the freeze right back to the #1 counter, the safe shot.
Definitely the safer of the two. I get that you want to put pressure on her, and top button is the way to do that, but there would have been potentially a thin double there, so I think smarter to just be safe. You're pretty happy with the force here. Take your 1-point lead and your hammer to an even end. I mean, that's a pretty ideal situation.
Final stone, third end. Ha Sung-yeon needs to basically touch the button, score their single.
Sweeping this hard right out of her hand.
Came out to help and realized they don't need my help.
Oh, did we overcook this? I think she's okay.
Just fine. So they secure the single. Team Ha, with that 1 point, cuts the deficit. 3-2, trailing Rachel Homan.
There's a place where the world's best curling not only lives, it rocks. Download the new Grand Slam of Curling app and live stream all the action. Get exclusive content, stats, merch, and more. Let's rock.
When it comes to the game we love, having the right gear makes all the difference.
Goldline's new curling shoes and brooms are a game changer.
The shoes, unbelievably comfortable.
And the brooms, lightweight and effective, giving you control on every sweep.
When I step onto the ice, I'm not just prepared, I look sharp.
Have you seen these shoes? They are a game changer.
And the brooms, light as a feather.
It's a Goldline.
It's a Goldline.
It's a Goldline.
And is the choice of champions.
Single for Team Ha in the third end, now trailing 3-2 to Rachel Homan. Homan with hammer in the fourth end of our feature matchup over here on sheet B. First game of the tournament for both squads. Chelsea, we already mentioned the clocks, but Bears repeating here, starting the fourth end. Both teams at around 18.5 minutes to go to play 5 ends. Not drastically low, but this is way earlier than the point in the game where you feel like you want to start having to play with more pace because of where your clock's at.
For sure, and Team Ha did also use a timeout in that last end, so burned one of those too. And it's not panic time yet, but they definitely need to be playing faster than they are.
Okay, clean it, I think. But there, just looks a little light. Just make sure we're here. You can hold the line, it's curling big.
Hold the line.
Right, no. Good spot. Definitely don't need to.
Two guards to start the end off. Team Homan staying aggressive with the 1-point lead and hammer. Went to the corner guard instead of going around the center. It seems, Chelsea, that Homan is making a conscious effort to take the game away from the center of the sheet, as you normally would with hammer anyways. But a lot of the action that we've seen in the slams and the high-level curling this year, teams have been so concentrated on beating the opponent in and making sure that you're not losing control of the center of the sheet. Team Homan, this entire game, whenever they've had hammer, the entire game is in 2 ends. Has really tried to take the action to the corners and make sure that they don't start piling things up in the center of the sheet.
Yeah, which is, in theory, exactly what you want to do, but the risk that you run when you do that is that somebody, eventually when the other team's going to stack several rocks in the middle, and likely one of them's going to be full 4, top button, something like that. So for Team Homan, eventually somebody's going to have to make a run back, potentially even a run double. So for Rachel, it's comfortable that somebody will do that, somebody in front of her. But that's the challenge, and that's why you see more of the men's teams play it that way, because they're pretty confident that somebody's going to make that run double. And for the women's teams, it's just not made as often by most of the teams as it is on the men's side. So that's why you see some of the women's teams go to the middle instead of spreading it out. And in a perfect world, you do that. But then if somebody doesn't make that run double or whatever it is, you bring a steal into play pretty quick.
And I think that rock being top 8 foot for Team Ha makes a big difference in that decision too. If that's top 4s, Rachel's not as eager to throw the draw into the corner guard.
For sure, it makes it easier to call those 2 rocks to the corner. That Rachel's always going to have a really makeable draw for one absolute worst case scenario. So that's definitely a factor in the decision as well.
냅둘게. 냅둘게 날 것. 15-3?
Angles on their other counter under the center, so good situation now for Team Homan. If they can make this run early in the end, the shooter will likely roll to a corner guard as well. They'll be able to attack with no danger in the center of the sheet. All 3 of these yellows will go if you hit this in the right spot.
Yeah, for sure. You needed that to be frozen more directly on the face. Probably needed the first one to be a little deeper. Just that tiny bit off in the precision for Team Ha, the placement of those 2 draws, and that's all it takes against a good team to put you in a bit of trouble. But a little mistake there from Emma. Not a bad result, but only gets 1 and does leave the guard close to the center line.
It's not bad from Emma. They do get off the center a little bit, lose 1 in the house.
Yeah, the yellow's wide open, so that's helpful.
Good throws.
The crowd cheering a run back from Kayla Skrillick, basically to stay on the sheet. Sheet A, a run against 3 made for a single point. They trail 6-1 at the break.
릴리드. 나오는 거 약간 안 돼.
That run back doesn't spill both threads, but is open now.
It's a bit lower. Probably we'll hit the back of this, move up. Control. Probably want to hit here.
Rachel not wanting to leave the double, so trying to come off the yellow and catch the back of their own red.
Control. Close, yep. Whoa, whoa. Control. Close. Yep, hard, really hard. Yep. Hard. Hard, Sarah. Rollers, rollers, rollers. Sit over. Good.
Just catches the side, so
타고 가는 것까지.
double still there
있으면 봐볼게요.
for Team
이게
Ha.
얼마나?
75.
아이 슈터 타고 가는 것까지 일단 봐볼게.
40.
아.
오케이.
뻥 것보단 얇은 게 나.
Kim Hyerin in the outturn peel weight. Sweepers on this one immediately.
언니 슈터 따라가.
And too thick on that first stone.
Can you
Shooter rolls to the center line.
Trying to roll that yellow just a tiny bit further so that you bring the jam into play. And she, as it stands, she has just all of it.
Okay. We saw Emma's hack waiter here before.
11 or hack?
What do you like? I like 11. I think anything over draw we can hold.
Same situation as earlier in the game, even though this rock's in the house.
Like this 11, right? Yeah. Okay.
Rachel and the rest of the team realizing that is the most dangerous stone once again.
And I tend to agree. There was some confusion there, and I was also confused. There's 11 as in just through the house 11, and then there's 11 as in 11 seconds between the hog line, which would be more like a heavy board. So good that they clarified there. Rachel at the last minute said, "You mean this 11, right?"
Hit it high, hard line, hit it high.
Audible here, trying to not jam this.
That's the best I could do. Yeah.
A good call from Rachel to get out of it what they did. Boy, they might still be sitting too.
That's
close.
very, very lucky and a good line call as well. It wasn't really very close to the shot that they were calling, but knew early that it wasn't going to get there, and so switched to that audible and got a bit of a break that their shooter stuck and the yellow went just far enough, I think.
That might be the first time I've ever heard Rachel pat herself on the back. So that's all I could do. She's right. I mean, to hit that rock with that weight in a spot where you sit two is near impossible.
I feel like in general with line calls, you see people switch it too late, and then it's not enough time for you to make the new call. Where that one, she basically switched it right out of Tracy's hand because it wasn't going to get there. So you'd see a lot of teams go curl, 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 and try to carve that down, and you carve it right to a dead jam, and you're dead. So good heads up line call, and you just have to commit to that really early if you're going to have any chance to make a line call on a audible that's that far off of the initial shot.
Does look to be red too from the overhead.
It does look on overhead, yeah.
Rachel agrees. And this end getting a little hairy now for Team Ha.
I think so. Same weight.
Trying to get to nose if they can. Fleury with another attempt at similar shot.
No. Curl.
And Rachel didn't like this one out of hand.
Heard Sarah say hair more weight as well, which isn't what you want if you're also a little bit wide.
Roll it high. Hard line. Whoa. It looks heavy. Yeah, it's locked weight.
Boy, that's a good call again from Homan.
At least, yeah.
Getting the most out of the shot. Freeze now still there for Team Ha to get out of the end, but throwing it against a 3 or a 4, it's 2 stones left.
Terrifying to throw, but you don't have anything else. No hit is going to help you. You're going to give up 3, so forced into this is a similar situation to the first end where Rachel had to make that freeze, and if she missed it, they could have given up a mittful, but when she makes it, everything goes away. So Team Ha looking at a pretty similar situation to that right now.
Yeah, you can't hit number 2 count. Well, Rachel's just wrapping another one around the guard. And you're still looking at 3. Big shot here. Ha Sung-yoon. To lock this right on that red stone. A lot of room here again.
Sweepers seem to like it. They're sweeping it for straight, and it looks like it needs to curl to me.
Can't bounce on this line. Nope, just nestles right up to it. Very well done. Good read by the sweepers.
Can you unlock it?
Maybe this way. This is the straighter side. Okay. I can't get it to go. Like, there's nowhere for it to go.
If you end up healing it, it's not the end of the world.
I think it goes into that.
But then at least it's open for the score.
Okay.
And if you end up healing it, it's not bad.
A little low, you mean?
Yeah, Jones, would you ever think about just tapping to unlock it, stay on top of it, and bring the big end back into play?
That was Tracy's first call, and I don't mind it because this run back to Rachel's point, it jams on the side of this, on the other red and the side of the 8 foot a lot of the time, even if you make it well. But But then Tracy's saying, yeah, but then at least it's open and you might still have a chance for multiple.
Well, she was calling it with heel weight to do that. But if you just unlock it and push it to the open on the opposite side, you can get at it from both
Yes,
turns.
no, I agree that they've now gone to the run back, which the problem is you could make this really well and jam it over there.
Yeah, a little surprised here. Rachel throwing the out turn run.
No, no. No, no, no!
Oh, it still goes. Raise Rock does roll to a biter, but we believe Homan's still sitting too. Great shot from Rachel.
Wouldn't stop falling.
Rachel frustrated that she didn't stick it, but still a great shot.
It went underneath that side one easily too.
언니 뒤에 거 잼만 안 나면. 아니 그만 안 나와. 롤. 어때?
Yeah, if you made that out turn tap,
이거 때문에?
so you even get half to 3/4 open on the opposite side, your shooter plays back into it. There's really no freeze unless you're freezing to your own.
Yeah, you leave them shot rock, but they're guarding against the loss.
Yeah. Rachel thinking more important to score. And maybe if it was a tie game, she plays that instead as opposed to with the 1-point lead in the hammer.
Yeah, and they still have a pretty good chance for 2 here. So you don't need a 3 or a 4. You're looking for at least your deuce. And so thinking that this was just a little bit safer to make sure that happened rather than bring a steal into play.
Really well done from Rachel. And now Team Ha needs to roll to avoid giving up a 2.
백. 아니 조금만. 1. 네. 오케이.
Throwing her last here in the 4th. Soft out turn hit, trying to roll under the corner. Really close on the roll. Need to hold the line.
Oh, they might have overcooked this. Get into the side.
And the stopper may have kept it for shot.
If it's shot, it's really good, but I'm not convinced it is.
That's close.
I don't know that it changes much for Rachel. I think you're throwing a draw to the middle and then hope that for your shot there. I don't. The chase looks really hard.
Rachel must think that yellow is
We were able to overbury these, and it's already touching it.
And then take a tip.
You don't think this draw here is there? But we were able to dead bury these.
I agree with Rachel that it's there.
It's just, is it worth it, I think.
We don't want to give up. We don't want to give up a steal.
Shot. I just thought if we touch this, it's 2, and if we don't, it's
really overburied.
Rachel really wants to throw that shot.
She wants to make sure they're getting 2, but I tend to agree with the team. I don't think it's worth the risk.
Yeah, my counter would be it's Rachel, and she likes it.
Yeah, no, I'm
That's
with you,
all.
and I think at some point you need to let her throw it. I just, if I was her team, I would have the same concerns that they have.
I know that you can overbury this rock. I've seen it all end.
And I think Rachel's also thinking, like, I'm not going to miss it for 1. I'm throwing it to a draw. You're going to sweep it to touch it.
Yes.
So I'm going to make this anyways, so let's play it to make sure we get 2. So I understand the team's concern.
I do
but
know it.
when my last rock thrower is showing this type of confidence in it,
agreed.
and is as accomplished as Rachel is, she says she likes it, throw it.
Yeah,
make
she's
it.
really seeing it. So,
Yep. And she's adamant about it. They're not playing it now, and I think Rachel's a little unhappy about this. So I think she was trying to tell the team, like, hey, I want to throw this shot.
I tapped something. It was
she definitely
back 8.
was.
We did sweep it most of the way, eh?
final stone for Rachel Homan. First half of this feature matchup. We'll find out when it comes to a stop, whether it's
I got top 8
for
on my
one or
hand.
for two. I think we'll probably see a measure.
Hasn't curled yet.
Tend to
Take
agree
a look,
with you.
it hasn't moved at all. I think you're good, guys. Just clean's fine.
No issue there for Homan, and we'll find out.
Oh, one for sure, and then
These other
measure
two.
these I think that one. Oh.
Our first call. I think I'm going to stick with 2 for red.
So measure these two. These two. Okay.
Get a little better view on the overhead now that that other rock is
Yeah, that's what that.
chipped out.
It's amazing how that plays tricks on your eyes. That rock being beside it there.
I thank you.
Rachel's saying it's closer than she thought, so that tells me she thought that they for sure weren't second, and now she's thinking maybe they are.
Well, it
We
looks
might
red
be
to me.
losing
I
and
don't
breaking
know.
the needle, but I don't know. I honestly need to go to an eye doctor these days.
Join the club, Rachel. So with 1 point secured, they will measure for the second point. Chelsea, have you made your call?
It looks red to me on the overhead.
Yeah.
To the what? 2.1.
But they can see better than we can from down here, so then I'm doubting myself. I'm doubting the overhead because Rachel seems so sure that if anything, it's yellow.
We're gonna measure anyways.
2.
It's red.
Red it is.
By 1 tick.
1-0 on the week. So it is 2 for Homan. They will lead 5-2 at the break.
When you've conquered another game, a long day, a job well done, and the final work call, we're your place. Come as you are and fit in comfortably. Mr. Mike's. Eat locally, enjoy casual.
I've stood at the pinnacle of curling
and battled in the most intense games. Out on the ice, there's no room for compromise.
And when the pressure's on, every millimeter counts.
It's not just a game. It's about maximizing performance,
Pushing limits.
seizing victory.
When victory hangs in the balance,
I know what I'm relying on,
It's a gold line.
it's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
and it's the choice of champions.
Peace of mind, confidence, and financial independence. At World Financial Group, we believe your path to any of these goals is paved by financial education. That's why our agents spend every day empowering individuals and families of all backgrounds with the knowledge to make choices that fit their goals. No matter your financial goals, WFG can help you own your future. Visit worldfinancialgroup.com to learn more.
There's a place where the world's best curling not only lives, it rocks. Download the new Grand Slam of Curling app and live stream all the action. Get exclusive content, stats, merch, and more. Let's rock.
Back for the second half of action here, our feature matchup. Women's draw number 2. The WFG Masters. Fifth leg of the Grand Slam of Curling this season. Guelph, Ontario at the Sleeman Center. Tyler George here with two-time Scotties champion Chelsea Carey.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Chelsea, we had some back and forth big swings on those ends with rock position, so important. First, second, and fourth end, really, with where do we not leave ourselves or give our opponent the out? How do we maintain our 2 or 3?
No, did they mop?
The difference in the game being that Rachel's team took that out away from Team Ha, and Ha left Rachel the out for the freeze in the first end, and there's your difference on the scoreboard.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a really interesting game with the strategy and rock position, and that's why we're seeing both teams a little tight on the time clock, because there's been lots of discussion, but definitely some interesting situations. And yeah, not necessarily a story of which team has played better, more strategy factors at this point that have come into it with, to your point, just making sure that you don't leave the out on the Team Homan side, and for Team Ha, unfortunately, leaving that out and Rachel making no mistake.
Have our first final already
Just need a 4.
over on sheet A.
Just
Team
need a 4,
Anderson,
you got room.
the 4 and the 5th, a 10-1 victory over Team Skrillik.
4. Just up here.
Sheet C, young Team Tabata, the 2 and the 5th, now leading 3-1
Little if you can.
over Team Fujisawa. And sheet D, Team Laws, 2 and the 4th, Steel, 1 and the 5th, now leading 5-2 over Team Rana.
16-1.
다섯.
Tabata looks to be in some trouble here in the 6th. They may be about to give up at least a 2, maybe a 3. 2 in for Team Homan to start off this 5th end, and Chelsea were far enough into it and scoreboard big enough gap that you see Rachel go into defense mode now. They do it as good as anybody in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw with that 1
Let
point
me know the
lead,
weight if we can touch it.
a little bit more conservative, and now with a 3-point lead, you won't see any of that. Starting with a guard, it'll be 2 rocks in the house, and then just straight defense here for Team Homan. Even if you give up a 2, you wouldn't be that sad about it, but if you could ever get a 4, so you're laughing.
Line, good. You got a bit of room, Where? 5. Room. Room. 5. Room to touch it.
Little bounce.
Curl then. 6. Hard line. Whoa. Curl.
Skew chasing with
Move it over a bit.
the intern
Really good.
tap. Moves that Yellowstone over just a touch, maybe peeking out a little on the outside now. Homan sitting 3.
세게 가야 되지 않아? 옆으로 가려면? 근데 언니 얘 그냥 우리 거이 꽂히는 각이어서 세게 가는 거 별론데. 그럼 이 앵글이 바로 낑기는 각이야.
Chelsea, that 40-2 record for Homan this season. We know that they lost the final. I believe Tour Challenge Slam, was it?
I think it was the Tour Challenge.
Yeah, to Team Ternzoni.
To Team Anderson.
Anderson.
Yeah.
Was it?
I believe so.
Yeah, whichever was. Where was the second loss?
I think it was, that might have been the last slam. I want to say Constantini, but I could be wrong.
Could be right.
It was a round robin game. I don't think it ended up really affecting anything. But
10초.
Never had trouble with trying to figure out who we lost to. It just was not something I needed to keep track of.
Heavy hack.
There's enough of them out there. But if you've played a season where you can count the number of teams and games you've lost on one hand and you're in January, or if you have more tour victories, like winning the tournament, than you have losses.
How about if you have more than double the tournament wins you
Which is
have
also true.
game losses?
Just a remarkable season from Homan.
Sorry. My bad.
Yeah, Rachel putting that one on her own head with the sweep call.
여기까지 어때?
And we made that comment earlier that Rarely do you hear Rachel pat herself on the back. She will be accountable 100%, but not somebody that is going to
어디?
give herself credit
아까 그거?
in those types of situations.
세게 갔어. 해.
잠깐만. 야, 립. 칼.
In-turn hit attempt.
자, 이거 안 붙는다. 계속 가야 돼.
Yang
계속 가야 돼. 계속 가야 돼. 끝까지 가야 돼. 가야 돼. 계속 가야 돼. 계속
Long
가야
ways
돼.
to curl.
아니.
Don't think this is making contact. Just
10초
touch.
64?
That's good.
웨이트 빨라.
아까 테이커 인턴 필로에서 얹혀야 그 덤퍼 쉽게
As
안
my
얹혀질 것 같은데.
nearly 3-year-old nephew would
이렇게 돼
say,
있지 않았어?
not
네,
so
이런
good.
옆으로 갈 것 같은데. 오히려 더 맞을 것
I
같고.
can't tell you how many times we've said that in the last
So good.
few months after that. No, it's a D on the
That's
on the
what
final end.
That's what I said.
That's so good.
That's what I said.
Well, they're freezing and we peel the guard.
We never
We
draw.
could get GSOC
We never
to
draw
make hats
our
that say that.
Not so good.
Because we've got the ones that say, I don't
I
hate
don't
it.
hate it,
already.
yeah.
I think not so good is better.
We're not beating them.
Another talk here for Team Homan taking time out. 11 and a half minutes left on their clock.
Yeah, but then I can rearrange where.
This is what I was thinking.
Yeah. 'Cause I think they're coming here. So.
I mean, you peel the guard and then they freeze here, and then we have to think about that one. They're freezing again.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Sure. We peel the guard, they freeze. That one comes into play. We have to hit that one. Freeze again. Sorry?
How deep? Like 8.
Yeah. If we're 8 foot, they're gonna hook it around, right? And then we can rearrange because we're 2-3. Okay.
Almost 4 foot.
See when Coach Jones showed up.
Yeah. Is it way worse, right? Like they can off it now without killing their own. Top 8. Okay.
I think
Thanks.
full 8. Yeah. I want them to be able to wrap around.
Agreed on the call. I think the come around, and Rachel's logic correct too, mapping this end out. We peel the guard, they make the freeze, it brings the other counter into play all of a sudden.
Yeah, I don't like the peel. I think you're into it. It's a
Yep.
little too late to peel that guard with all the rocks in the house. I don't think it is super beneficial. So if you're not going to peel it, then you want to choke off. What's going to hurt you right now is the freeze around this one. So put this anywhere in the from full 12 to top 4 is okay, as long as you're above the T line. And you don't even really need to be buried here for it to be good.
Where did Jen come from?
I saw her a few shots ago on the bench. So she's not been here since the start of the game.
It. I
But
thought maybe she just popped out of the locker room to the stands.
We don't need any more. Otherwise
it's like a genie in a bottle. Just summon Jennifer Jones when you have a timeout.
아니 이거 보면서 슈터
So Barry's a small piece.
슈터만 가도 나쁘진 않을 것 같긴 하거든요.
I will have to move that stone. At some point, looks like they're going after it now.
아니 60 딱이야. 어려우면은 슈터.
Fujisawa ended up forced to a single in the 6th in the
더 약한.
game we mentioned with Team Tabata, looking like they had a shot for 3. So
것 같아서 핵은
Tabata
어려워.
now leads 3-2 with hammer on Fujisawa. Chelsea, that might be one of those feature idols type of games, I think.
And I saw earlier, Satsuki, I guess it would have been the third end, had a wide open hit for 2 and rolled out. So a couple of misses, uncharacteristic misses by Satsuki Fujisawa is maybe setting this up for a big victory for Team Tabata.
I was asked by a friend of mine for a sleeper pick for the week to pull off some upsets, and that was the team I gave them, so.
Making you look like a really smart guy right now. Have to buy them a coffee or a beer or something for making you look like a genius.
I'd just rather have my buddy buy me one instead.
Close.
Gracie Fleury
Clean, yep.
playing the open hit
Whoa,
here.
whoa. Just clean.
Ha was able to chip that stone to the outside 12 foot,
Good
but
toss. Really good.
open hit here for Tracy, no problem. Out turn hit.
Yep.
Kim here in.
Clean, clean. Whoa. Whoa. Clean. Yep. 아니야.
Trying to get the roll here if they can. Doesn't bury, but rolls in front of the other yellow. Unfortunately for Hot, kind of uses that guard as a guide to miss the backing.
Sort of frames it up a little bit, yeah. Almost anywhere on the high side will do it
This
for
is
Rachel
the
here.
out,
It would be very, very
Out.
thin to jam on the side.
Turn? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
That rolls another rock. It's really good. It's close to a good result,
straight.
but
Rachel
Straight through.
taking no chances and
I
playing
can't
tight
believe they
stick
got their
here.
hack waiter by.
Rachel just playing peel,
Hard. Whoa. Whoa.
not caring about the
Oh,
shooter with a
oh.
5-2 lead. Calling off just in case maybe the shooter stuck around but rolls out. Homan sitting 2. Looks to be playing the draw underneath. Trying to get shot rock and buried at the same time. There is some space. Just enough to be number 1 and to be buried completely.
this is one of those ones that's tough because in theory, you want to bring this back as far as you can so that the run back is longer for Rachel. But if you do that and she makes the freeze, it takes it away anyway. So need a good shot here, and then you need some help. You need Rachel Homan to cooperate with you, which she's not been very cooperative this game or this season with any of her opponents.
라인은 괜찮아. 룸. 테이. 테이. 야, 걸.
Trying to carry it
도와주고
to
있어.
weight.
사이드. 얍. 얍. 아니, 가야 돼, 이거. 얍, 얍.
Tight to the guard now too.
계속 가야 돼, 이거. 계속 가야 돼.
And does wreck, chips off and rolls the top 12. Homan sitting at least 1. It's really close too.
아 이게 약해서.
It looks yellow to me.
Me too.
Well, I think we. Oh, I don't see a run to get 2. Yeah. I think we just lied too. I don't see. Like if she runs it.
Rachel thinking that yellow was second count as well.
If she runs it, we'll count it.
Yeah, if you get second count here, get a piece underneath,
Guard the yellow.
a good piece underneath. There's no shot for 2, but looks like they're just going to guard.
Okay, what turn?
We're just guarding the yellow, Tracy, and you see the broom.
Yeah, what turn?
Yeah, the way we've been coming.
I mean, you're guarding yellow, but if it's dead guarding it, it's not staggered to the center. Could they dig that red out with soft weight?
Yeah, they try for sure.
That's I'm a little surprised Rachel's not coming around that stone, because if you get even half a rock
Line's
buried,
important.
they can't play the run because
'cause
the
the
shooter
run's
doesn't
not for two.
outcount it. It's
Yeah.
just for one. So
Curl it.
it's overburied, but be interested to see if they take this on if the rock
Curl it. Keep
curls
curling.
enough so
Gotta
that
curl.
it's
Whoa.
there, and it looks like it will.
Whoa. Really good.
Yeah, do they take that on now? Room looks like it's just for the clean draw, but
I think you almost have to try this
Well,
with the scoreboard the way it is.
I think so. Yeah, it's
very confusing.
It's not easy, but
Well, and if you rub on the top yellow, like you just play really tight. If you rub on the top yellow, good chance you get your one anyway. If your weight's close, right? You don't need to throw much more than back 12. You only got to move that rock a couple feet here. I just don't think a single point really gives you a realistic chance of winning this game. Even a deuce is questionable.
yeah, the fact that they didn't even look at it and Homan was okay with throwing the guard makes you think that
Maybe
it's
they-
just not
yeah.
curling enough to get there, and either team thinks so.
They must think that, because I was surprised at the guard call as well. So
Big difference on.
So final shot here in the fifth. Ha playing the draw for a single point.
웨이트만. 라인 여기야. 야.
Now playing with the aggressive line, maybe thinking they can tap the red.
그대로 와야 돼. 더. 자, 막 와야 돼.
Oh, just barely hairs. Didn't have the weight, I don't think, to move the stone far enough anyways, but they do get their one. Score now after 5 ends. Homan leads Ha 5-3.
When you've conquered another game, a long day, a job well done, and the final work call, we're your place. Come as you are and fit in comfortably. Mr. Mike's. Eat locally, enjoy casual.
So a single for Team Ha in the fifth end. Now trailing Homan 5-3. Rachel with hammer playing the sixth and a 2-point lead.
라인은 괜찮아. 헤이.
Chelsea, really no option for Team Ha at this point. 3 ends to play, down 2 without. This is all-out steal mode for Team Ha.
yeah, you're really got to be hoping for steals. Like if you forced and then you try to get 3 and 7, then you still have to steal coming home. It's not great. But as it stands, you have to steal 3 straight ends against a team that gives up very few steals. So big trouble either way for Team Ha here, but definitely going to see a couple of guards, and they're going to have to leave as many rocks in play as they can and hope for some mistakes out of Team Homan.
14-3. It's already back. Okay. Whatever you think.
This one goes all the way to back 12. Kind of a difficult spot to throw a second guard on, too. It's mid, but just slightly mid-tight.
Yeah, sort of in between, which is always a little bit trickier. So now the long guard has to be really long, because that one that was supposed to be tight stopped a few feet shorter than they would have liked it to.
많이 룸이요? 네, 네. 라인도 태희 언니 거. 컬.
They go with the high guard with the second one. Staggered off the center line. Homan immediately with the broom down to draw around anyways, so
Looks like too
just
much.
gonna wait to peel.
Team Homan down to 9 minutes left. Luckily for them, I don't think there'll be a lot of major decisions happening in the next little bit here, but you'll see
Are you sure?
we normally would call it a hurry-up offense, but in this case it's a hurry-up defense for
Just looks light.
Team Homan, just to make sure they have enough time at the
Tracy.
end.
Easy. That's good there.
3 minutes an end is reasonable, but it's sort of the minimum you would want. So
Nice adjustment, Sarah.
Yeah, for Team Homan again, playing with pace here, playing all-out defense. Likely they won't be having too many long discussions, but
Yeah, defense definitely makes it easier to play a little bit faster, but it's still something they need to be a little bit cognizant of. I would imagine that they'll make up a bit of time in this end, and then they should be fine after that.
라인은 그대로. 7. 클린. 얍. 얍. 7. 라인. 얍. 6. 스말라이. 7. 아니 라인. 라인 계속 가야 돼 이거. 얍. 얍. 라인 좋아. 8.
let's get by the guard. Don't want to bounce on this line. Very well done. Good spot.
15.
No hesitation from Rachel. She'll run up and peel this long guard with
Yeah, whoa,
Emma
whoa,
Miskew.
whoa, off. Curl if you can, curl. Curl.
Oh, what a shot from Emma. That'll do.
Is that any good?
Sweep call so disinterested. Yeah, curl if you
Close,
can.
clean,
Fine.
curl.
Yeah.
All the
okay.
rock's gone.
That'll do just fine.
What is she saying?
Can't do it better than that for Miskew. Now no center guards in play and the counter taken out.
Nice try.
Oh, that's the old line, the Joe Polo line.
Did you say nice try?
Joe would say that when we'd make something great. Nice try. Maybe next time.
I got 14, 3, and 15, 7. Time's like fun.
Rachel seems to be a little loose out there this week. Like she's a little more vocal with, my fault or the nice tries, joking around a little bit. We're not used to seeing her as much. I don't even want to call it banter because it wouldn't seem like that much for other players, but for her, that's quite a bit. Even just the little comments like that.
Yeah, being up at this much in this game makes that an awful lot easier to do.
Even with leads in the past, though, it's just, she's so tunnel vision all the time. It's kind of fun to see her, having a little fun with it.
Control.
Freeze over curls just a touch.
It's high and there's like 3 inches of separation. Okay. Just tougher with normal. Sure. Yeah. Whoa, whoa.
Easy normal to call
Yep.
the weight.
Hard, hard. Gotta go. All the way hard. Hard, you gotta go.
Trying to hold the line to make sure the yellow goes out. No problem there. Good shot from Emma. And just simple execution right now. Chelsea for Team Homan. They'll take 2 if it presents itself, but they're happy just to play this out in blank as well. And for Team Ha now, again, all out playing the freeze.
If we didn't have this new rule in place, you'd see Team Homan trying to blank all the rest of these ends, but we know they're not going to be able to do that. So if they blank this one, then they won't be able to blank 7. Not going to take any chances for sure. You don't need to take any risk in setting up a 2 at this point for Rachel Homan.
위험할 것 같아. 그게 지금 좋아서 시기가. 근데 얘가 백티에 있어서 나는 프리즈 한번 해보고 싶은 거기는 해. 근데 지금 좀 위험할 것 같은데.
Now a change in tactics. Electing to play the double instead. I understand that you're trying not to play yourself out of the game, but even if Homan does take the blank, this one over curls and misses the back. So yeah, I think that you still had to throw the freeze there, regardless.
Yeah, I agree. I get You're trying to kind of keep it close and not play yourself out of the game, but by doing that, you're playing yourself out of the game this late in the game against a team as good as Rachel Homan at defending leads. It's just...
You have to know your opponent, and you have to know the situation in the game, too. I mean, down 2 without playing the last 2 ends is just about dead anyways, but against a team of this caliber, then...
Yeah, I think you had to go for it here, and if you give up 2 or 3, then you shake hands. That's no different than doing it in half an hour, which is going to likely be the case if this end is blanked anyway. So at some point, you have to just go, okay, well, we might lose the game right now, but we're probably going to lose the game anyway, so we got to try something.
15-4.
This was Rachel Homan's, this was the first overall pick in the draft, if I'm not mistaken. Rachel electing to take Team Ha, which was a bit surprising to some people because there's a number of lower ranked teams that she could have chosen instead, but did choose Team Ha with that very first overall pick. So far looking like a good choice.
We have seen one of the teams drafting beaten by their first opponent already. At least one we know of, Team Mike McEwen losing to Corey Dropkin, the first game today.
언니가 봐봐요. 한 이쪽으로 올 것 같은데? 40? 반은 조금 두꺼울 것 같아. 한번 봐줘. 그냥 더블 볼게요.
Lining up the slash, playing the double now. Again, trying to just hold Homan to a single if possible.
얇으면 여기야. 얇은 게 30.
Really no opportunity whatsoever
이거
for a
B,
steal.
A. 그러니까 30, 35, 40.
The only way you could try to steal is by coming around this top red one and hoping Rachel misses the run back.
Kim here in.
Yep.
Intern slash.
Yep. 자, 계속 와. 계속 오자. 최대한 와보자. 더.
Look at that shot. Wow.
Well done.
Fantastic shot from Kim.
Trace, do you want to go over here just with those? I don't think it matters, but stay over here. Okay.
So just a choice on what side you want to go to now. Not a whole lot of space to go around any guards, obviously.
Yeah, we're probably headed to Blanksville, so just a matter of where you want to put this. Maybe even throw it on a side if you're not sure of one side versus the other side, just in case you might need it later, might use it to learn a path. But
you can curl it if you want.
What's the population in Blanksville?
Just curl.
Well, this morning it was really high.
Oh, I figured it had to be 0.
Do you want it? Yep, we can. Because we can next time.
Because of no points for a blank, right? Did you get that?
I got that. I was thinking of it the other way, where like this morning we watched all 4 sheets blank the first end.
So I don't want to count then.
All
That's
4
too
of
much
them
work.
were in Blanksville.
근데 아무도 못 써.
I was told there'd be no math, so it was 0.
They missed that part in the contract. So over on sheet C, we did see Satsuki Fujisawa steal 1 and 7 to tie the game with Tabata. So they are tied playing 8. And Tabata has the hammer.
많이 가야 돼 이거. 많이 해봐. 진짜 가야 돼 이거.
Caitlin Laws over on the last sheet stealing a couple more, so she now has a 7-2 lead over Team Verano.
야, 얘기해야지 내가 차는 거야.
Rachel getting another free look on the draw.
We're going to the other side, though. This curls a bit more. I'm going to guess it's closer to a 15 rather than a 15-4. I got a 15-6 on Tracy's. Her first one was a 15-4. Stopped. Okay, like 2 more feet than I've been throwing. Okay.
Good conversation there, feeling that this side, because it has a little bit more curl, and B, they haven't really thrown it, thinking that it'll just be that little bit heavier. 2 feet or so. Still fast. They're talking 15 on this to the tee line, they think. They got to go on this one, though, I think.
Wow, this looks short right now. Sweeper's trying to get it to the paint. Short would be bad for
Closer the better, Sarah. Closer the better.
many reasons. And this will be a rock that
A lot slower there, eh?
Ha can come around.
내가 차야 되는 거지. 그게 더 웃기네. 그럼 언니가 차는 거 맞지 않아?
아, 그래.
Chelsea, they were a little questionable on the speed on that path, saying they thought it would be a little slower. Ends up coming up short, so maybe they didn't think there'd be that big a difference, but I mean, if you think there's a difference one way or the other, is there reason to even play it, seeing as you're not going under anything?
Yeah.
Why not just throw the one you just threw and made?
Yeah, you for sure could have, and there's definitely an argument to be made for that. I heard Sarah say right before she threw it that they hadn't seen that path the entire game, so it's just
I've already done this rule before, and it goes back.
Always a bit of guesswork with a brand new path that you haven't seen. It's going to be heavier, but how much heavier is it going to be?
Some kind of discussion on rules going here. Really only hear what Rachel's saying.
The rule I've known is that it goes to the lead, but it's...
Oh, they threw out of order, I think.
You're the game up.
So this is now the last rock of the game, but or of the end, sorry, but
So the lead has to throw it, they believe. That's what Rachel's saying.
그냥 안 보이는 게 먼저.
굽는 거 먼저?
so somebody on Team Ha only threw one rock at some point in this end, and so now it's the wrong order. So just a bit of discussion there with Pierre Charette and both teams.
We thought like a little light, but not too good.
Yeah, so we just heard, I don't know if it was Rachel or one of the sweepers say we thought that it was a little light out of her hand, but not a two guard. So just a little surprised with that in-turn path at how much slower it was.
라인은 바깥. 웨이트 먼저. 룸.
With that rock coming up short, in-turn come around attempt.
걸로 가야 돼. 라인 때 많이름. 많이름이야. 안 나가면 라인. 태연이 라인 때문에 진짜. 라인 때문에. 너무 많이 보여. 너무 많이 보여. 라인 안 나간다. 와, 됐다.
And that's well made, so the Homan now will have to draw for a single point.
What do you think of speed? I think same weight. Yeah, I wouldn't. Okay, you just told me this is the fastest bike. No, I know. Okay. Yeah, I just close to this line. I guess you're back 12 here first, and you thought you were close. Okay.
Homan needs to touch the 8-foot. Her final shot. Secure the single. Track's running a little bit different speeds.
Line's good. It's curling. Looks a little light. Need 8 foot.
Sweeper's hammering this one, but looks like they're going to get it there. So that will be one for Team Homan. Now after 6 ends of play, they lead Team Ha 6-3.
When it comes to the game we love, having the right gear makes all the difference.
Gold Line's new curling shoes and brooms are a game changer.
The shoes, unbelievably comfortable. And the brooms, lightweight and effective, giving you control on every sweep.
When I step onto the ice, I'm not just prepared, I look sharp.
Have you seen these shoes? They are a game changer.
And the brooms?
Light as a feather.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
And is the choice of champions.
Homan forced to the single after coming up short on her first draw. The sixth end, excuse me. So they lead 6-3 now. On to the seventh end of action. Team Ha going to need multiple points in this end to give themselves a chance in the last two.
It's floating. Got lots of room, whatever you think, Em. Needs to curl a little bit, but close. Always curl. Get hard, go, 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 go. Hard, 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 hard. Losing it a bit, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah. Judge.
Hear that discussion there with Team Homan. You're losing it a little, talking about the ice. Thinking that maybe it's slowing down a little bit.
It has been a very long game, and there is only one other game out here now, too, which can affect the ice conditions as well. That Skrlik-Anderson game ending as early as it did, and an empty sheet beside you can sometimes affect the ice conditions.
안 들어오기만 하면 나란히 세워도 되겠다. 응. 네. 네.
And this being the first day of competition, Chelsea, we're on our third round of games. We have one more coming up for the night draw.
You're not there.
Never really sure when you're playing in a new venue how the speed will change throughout the day with playing 4 draws every day for 4 days as we do. So it's good information now, too, for the teams playing the late draw. If they're losing ice, they believe, in the 6th and 7th end of the third round of games, it's fairly logical that the same thing will happen, if not more, for the 4th draw, the last draw tonight. And that does tend to happen the later you get in the day regardless. But something that maybe the teams playing in this night draw will have to take into account, knowing that there's a good chance they're going to lose speed right around maybe the midpoint of the game.
And it'll be interesting to see, too, because this game was actually faster than the first 2 games we saw this morning, right? Faster and straighter. So there's also the possibility that they pebble or clip a little bit differently for tonight's game, which could then completely reverse that effect. If the pebble's a little bit firmer, a little bit more aggressive, and so then maybe the game starts slower, then the speed might hold up a little bit better late in the game. So there's so many factors that go into that kind of stuff, and when you play on that first evening draw, it's always a bit of guesswork as to what you're going to get, because typically it's the trickiest draw time, because there's been so many games on that ice and people in the building, and the temperature goes up and they have a hard time bringing it back down, and so then the ice tends to be the trickiest late in the evening. So it'll be very, very interesting to watch tonight what the effects are, and if the ice crew makes any adjustments to what they're doing to maybe get a little bit more curl, and therefore would probably sacrifice a little bit of speed.
Three rocks stacked in the house now for Team Homan. No staggers. Well, there's a pocket with those top 2 stones, Chelsea, but it's an interesting setup starting the end off. If you're playing a freeze, you're freezing the 4th count. Initially now going under the corner. But Brent and I were discussing this in the last game, how the top players, there's no consensus about where that 5th stone goes. And we see different setups starting these ends off all the time in slams. And it's interesting to see where those results go.
Close.
But this is kind of a new one here too, with 2 on the top of the 8-foot on opposite sides of the center line and number 1 behind it.
Okay.
So it's it's interesting to see where these teams elect to go with that 5th stone all the time, and which of these results have the best end result for the teams doing it.
And the teams would have studied that. I know for the Canadian teams, we have access to a lot of analytics in those senses, and you can even go watch back all your games at slams, and so you could watch that and look at it. I think the thing that makes it tricky too is it also depends on how good your first 2 rocks are. If they're perfect, then you might have seen a choke around a corner or a guard on those 2 rocks, but when they're not perfect, then sometimes you almost have to bring another one in to improve the position on the 2. So there's just a lot of factors that go into it, and yeah, there for sure is no hard consensus from the top teams on what the best play is.
So you can watch your old games back when you play in these events, right?
Yeah.
Where can you do that? That's interesting. Did you do that on the Home Team Network? HomeTeamLive.com?
You can.
That's fascinating. Amazing.
Curl him.
So if you were a fan, you could do that too, right?
It's very true.
That's incredible.
What a world we live in.
Okay.
It's an interesting result.
I think it's not great.
아니 이거 지금 만들어 놓은 거야?
Yeah, that opens up 4 foot
야, 이렇게
now.
하면 얘 그냥 열로 내려.
Yeah, and you can make a little tap and sit your shooter on that. Leave your shooter
생각하고
frozen.
있었어.
That was my
얘 때문에
thought,
얘가
yeah.
I'm surprised they're looking at this other side here.
They're calling timeout to chat about this. I agree, Chelsea. As soon as those stopped, I thought tap on the 2 reds and the 4s.
그래? 근데 놓자마자
You
되게 떨어질 것 같은데.
essentially don't need to move all the rest of the stones if you make that shot. You're eliminating the other 2 reds by making that tap right now, as if you
근데
doubled
이
them
얼음이
out.
약간
And she can't kill your yellow, so then in theory you'll have a chance to sit at least 2. And I mean, as much as you want a 3 here, it's not looking very 3-ish at this point. So you need to at least make sure you hang a crooked number on the board here. And to me, the double tap looks like the easiest way to
Yeah, I agree.
work towards that.
그냥 한10 느낌이었나? 나도 처음엔 그 생각이 들었어.
아니 이거 안 돼요? 이렇게.
Yeah, they keep looking at that double, that rock in the top
근데
of the
이렇게
12
해서
foot.
보여도
하면 얘는 그냥 일로 내려와. 이렇게 여기에 뭉쳐질 것 같아.
And the pro side
슈터가
of
이렇게
that is
바깥쪽으로
maybe
해버리면
it's
코칭이 보여버린다는 거 아니야?
partially buried at least
근데
under the
바깥쪽으로 보일
guard.
확률이 나와서 그런 거 아니야?
I don't think I want to be playing a double on number 4 to number 3.
진짜
I'm
혜린이
with you.
생각한 이건데 나는 근데 얘가 힘 정리돼야 돼.
더블식으로 가야지.
아니, 약게 써야 돼. 아
그게 더
그래.
최악일 것 같긴 한데.
완전
아니면-
샹샹샹이야.
이거 하나 하자.
이거 어때? 난
아, 이거 실수해도
왜냐면
더
이미
별로야.
상황 자체가
그냥 언니 열?
Now they are looking
더
at it.
세게
And Chelsea,
가지
if this is made, if you're Rachel, are you going nose back?
That's my first thought.
As long as you don't leave them
Oh.
pocketed. So maybe you're drilling it.
Yeah,
if that's the
yeah.
case.
근데 더 세게 하기.
Yeah, I'd like to get to nose here if you can. They want to move that number 1 counter that's on the button, probably to
쌤 근데
back
하면
8.
좋긴 하지
Yeah.
않나?
Somewhere in there.
근데 슈터가 중요해서 굳이 나가는 거 말고 나 슈터 위주로 봐야
If
될
she
것
makes
같아.
this and you're Rachel, you could also peel that center guard, because if you got rid of that guard, then you could run your own into
Right.
the frozen 2 and probably kill the top one. So I wouldn't be overly surprised if you saw her just rip that guard either.
So maybe through the house weight here.
클린. 워. 클린. 워.
In here, in.
럼. 클린. 워.
칼.
칼.
Him getting to throw the last shot last end
계속 해야 돼 이거.
after the rocks were
더 가야 돼,
thrown out of order. Taps that probably a little farther than maybe we would have liked, but they were sweeping that rock all the way back.
Yeah, they were.
Back 4.
Yeah, I like that. Back 4. Is that what you said?
Just stay shot.
Kick.
Rearrange angle.
Kick.
So Rachel electing to try to continue to cut the scoring space down. Just playing back 4 They want to stay shot rock, but they want to tap that red just a little bit and leave the shooter right on top of the yellow.
I think he'd love to get the shooter just the tiniest bit across the face of this one if he could.
No, no.
Whoa,
Stop.
It doesn't need to tap. A little light's okay.
Curl. Cross center.
Line is the most important thing.
Gotta get to nose.
Taps it back farther than they would have liked.
Yeah, they left it lined up. You want that to be a mirror image of that. If that curled that much across the face as it did kind of stay on the high side there, then the angle would be great for Rachel Homan. But as it stands, that looks like it's queued up to perfectly jam on that back one.
Yeah, now you can
아예 조금 더 가도 되잖아. 그지?
tap that stone across just a little bit. Now use the stagger to your advantage.
Yeah, your two frozen rocks with your shooter on top will become a staggered guard, and there won't be a way, or not an easy way anyway, to get to your back shot stone here.
더 약해도 돼?
Yeah, so Homan on the previous shot wanted to cross to stagger, so they weren't lined up like this. Now Ha has the opportunity to do the exact same thing. Throw probably back house. Separate these a little bit. Cross to the center line side.
Yeah, line is the more important part than the weight on this shot. So just make sure you get the line right. This needs to curl as well.
The old double carve here.
아니 이건 알아챌 것 같아.
And just enough. Taps it to a good line on the back one. A little separation there too, so I don't think those are dragging even if they wanted to play some kind of run.
I think those are the distance apart, and it depends on the rocks and on the ice surface. But to me, those look like they might be the distance apart where no matter where you hit that rock, it goes to the same place. There's no drag, there's no high side, there's no nothing. It's like you're hitting a single sig. It's just going straight back no matter what you do.
Good get shot.
Even if you're not shot, like someone here is pretty good. You guys like that?
So that applause is for Team
I
Tabata,
gave Sarah here before.
who with the hammer take their 2 in the 8th end and lock in a 5-3 victory over Satsuki Fujisawa.
Upset there for that young Tabata squad.
14-8.
Signing a few autographs for some kids afterwards now too. Yeah, keep beating teams like that. Be signing a lot more autographs, ladies.
I was thinking 4 more feet.
Congrats to them.
Okay.
We did have a final earlier on sheet D. 2 Laws with another steal at 2. 2-1, 2-2. The last 4 ends they played, and they win 9-2 over Isabella Verano. So final game out there on the sheet now.
I got Max. Close. Yeah, line. Hard line.
Tabata Fujisawa game. Went to final stone, finished 8th.
line. Gotta go to get by.
We got 4 rocks left here in the 7th.
Gotta go to get by. Hard. Yep, you gotta go to get by. Hard. Yep.
Tight to that rock in the top 8s. Oh, it actually touched
it, didn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Still ends up. Oh, did it stop the shot? It's close.
Can't believe how much that curled.
I think it might just be yellow, but
1번. 1.
I don't know that it matters. I think you're still playing in turn draw. If you're
Yeah, I don't think you have a choice.
Ha.
너무 오픈되어 있지 않나? 이 포켓이? 여기 오자.
마지막에 탭했을 때? 아 어차피 우리 거니까.
어차피 우리 거 내릴 수 있어. 우리 2점 먹고.
그래. 일단 만들어 놓자. 좋아.
여기는 진짜 안 될 것 같아. 여기도 괜찮아 차라리.
And if they're shot rock, they don't need to move that back red. Makes a huge difference on where you can throw this stone.
많진 않겠지?
Yeah, if you're not shot and you don't move it now, you're probably not going to be able to move it. So then that takes 3 off the board. If you are shot, you have 3 in play still now, because if you just draw in there, then Rachel's got to do something to not give you a shot for free.
지금 하나 잡고 미스 바라는 게 낫지 않아?
아니 처음에 잡은 데 잡아줘. 것처럼 들어가요.
And if this is made too, Chelsea, there is that yellow-red run, but so risky for Rachel if it was even just a touch high. Could run it into that yellow-red combo. So Rachel might be forced into playing the yellow-red tap.
Yeah, that's the first thing I see is the yellow-red tap. The angle isn't great to run it back onto anything, but if you just tap it a couple feet and get it to the edge of the button, I think that might be what you see her do if this is made well. Lots of room on this one.
Ton of room.
Got to get it by. That's not going to get by this one in the top of the 8-foot.
And we heard Rachel Homan say she was shocked at how much hers curled, and maybe that spooked Team Ha into thinking that theirs would snap too when Rachel's was an anomaly.
Yeah. I think this draw looks really hard.
It can be tough too when you're playing a team like Rachel that they're taking between a foot and 2 feet less ice than you are on a draw, so you're not in the same path as they are. So you don't get to really learn from what their rock did because yours is taking a completely different line the whole way down the sheet.
Guarding the top. Sure. This curls a bit, eh?
A little bit.
Regarding the tap, they think that out-turn draw is a really difficult draw, which it is. They think that the tap might be a slightly easier shot for Ha.
Okay, lots of line.
It's good. The line. Hold the line.
Line's good.
They just need to cover the outside of the yellow stone.
Line's good.
Will do just that.
Just get out of the way so they can start.
So they do have the yellow-red slash and try to spin the yellow into the 4-foot.
저기서 보니까 되게 안 예쁘더라고.
Because the out-turn draw to the back of the 4s, that's the wrong way through the stagger, which should be really difficult too. There's no easy shot for 2, but I don't think there's any other options besides those 2 shots.
Could throw the long double tap, I guess, on that wide yellow guard onto the yellow in the top of the 12-foot, but I'm not sure that's any easier.
Sure, why not? Yeah, any way you cut it, this is a very difficult shot for 2, and I think this is the best option with how the ice is running too. The stagger looks really difficult, but it's running straight enough that I think the shot's there.
I think it's there too, and I think it's probably the right call. The other thing that you have to worry about is the fact that you're now down to 2 minutes to play the last end here.
2:08, thank you.
So sorry, yes, that 8 seconds makes a huge difference.
It does now. Final shot. 7th end. Team Ha trying to draw a piece of the 4-foot for their second point. This is almost nose of the red guard. So it will be 1 for somebody. Called 1 yellow right away as we expected. So Ha forced to the single. They'll be down 2 without Hammer going to the 8th against Rachel Homan. 6-4 the score.
이게 바깥쪽이 그냥 스트레이트하게.
I've stood at the pinnacle of curling and battled in the most intense games. Out on the ice, there's no room for compromise.
And when the pressure's on, every millimeter counts.
It's not just a game. It's about maximizing performance,
Pushing limits.
seizing victory.
When victory hangs in the balance,
I know what I'm relying on.
it's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
And it's the choice of champions.
Eighth end of action here at the WFG Masters. Live from Guelph, Ontario at the Sleeman Center. Our feature matchup here, Team Homan and Team Ha, 6-4 now to the 8th end. Homan with Hammer. Tyler George here with 2-time Scotties champ, Chelsea Carey. Chelsea's been an uphill battle for Ha. Really haven't played poorly in this game, but I think the difference really has just been the positioning and strategy, really, by Rachel has been the difference. The execution hasn't been that much different, but Rachel has really managed the game better and put themselves in position to win.
Yeah, agreed. Really clutch shot by Rachel in the first end to prevent a multiple score for Team Ha. And then, yeah, a couple calls that we thought maybe they could have paid off big if they got a kind of a half shot or something out of Team Homan, but that just hasn't been what happened, and they put themselves in some positions where they gave Team Homan an out, and then the out was made. So, yeah, not a poorly played game at all, just more a question of capitalizing on opportunities and Team Homan doing a bit better job than that.
I think a good way to frame it would be they made tour calls. When you're playing a regular game on tour, let's throw it here, let's make them play the tough shot here against one more point, as opposed to let's make the simple shot here and let's take our two, or let's play the one that we make sure we don't leave them that way out.
Yeah, don't force them into the shot that could take it all away, and we saw that kind of happen a couple times. So, yeah, not a Team Ha's actually played a very good game. It's been reasonably well played on both sides. It's more just been about those little strategy decisions and capitalizing on when you do get a chance to take it all away and making that shot when you're given that opportunity.
5. Hard, Em, you gotta go. You're not there, hard.
First one from Wilkes again, going to the back of the 12-foot. Second one now short.
The back one is not the worst one of the two, I don't think, in this situation. That one on the top of the 12-foot is basically another guard, and it's not even one that Team Homan can use to promote or run back or anything because it's fully buried. So not what they would have wanted there. Sarah won't be happy with that pair. Not so good.
So opportunity now for Team Ha.
As well here.
The team's struggling with this in-turn path. And maybe one of those things too, Chelsea, where if you're on the correct draw path, that it's coasting. You get just a little inside of it, as Sarah did, and just wrenches and stops.
We heard them talk before about losing the ice a little bit, and when that happens, you usually are only losing it in the middle, in that slide path area. So then that's where it can make you look pretty silly, where if you get out wide, it slides forever, and you are sweeping it, and then you watch it slide, because if it's in tighter, it really comes down, so that it makes it really tough for the sweepers. Because a very slight difference in line can make a big difference in the final result.
Pretty good shot there from Emma Miskew. Shooter rolls off the center. This is one of the two guards. Team Ha sitting first count, back of the 8-foot. You're always hoping in this situation now that as long as you have just simple single peels the rest of the way out, that you'll have an open shot for the win. That's not the case yet for Homan here, as there is a counter in the house and a guard. But now with those where they're at, that might change things a little bit.
Yeah, if that's a long guard, it's still game on, because if they don't make a double peel or something, then eventually Team Ha goes again. You sit two buried and you make Rachel draw against the tie game at least. But unfortunately, that coming as deep as it did makes this double peel really makeable for just about anybody, but especially for somebody like Emma Miskew.
Expect Emma to come up with a good one here. She's swept right out of hand, though.
Oh, you got drag it out hard. Shoot her hard.
Just leaves the one there, and now two awkwardly staggered guards in the center too.
And no real nice draw path either. That's it's a little bit of trouble here for not trouble to. I don't think you're in much trouble to lose the game, but you're putting the tie game on the board here as a possibility with these little couple slight miscues.
라인 괜찮아? 라인은 좋아. 한 명, 약간 바깥쪽이야. 너무 빠졌다.
이거 빨라서 아직. 기다릴게. 아직. 스위치야?
Trying to throw the high center again.
근데 라인이.
Sweeping to try to line them up. So a hair tighter than they would have liked, but the line is pretty good.
지금은 남으면 들어와야 될 것 같아.
Much more separation than the last time, so would have loved it a little longer, but not bad.
Yeah, for Team Homan, somebody just needs to make one of these.
Yeah.
You're probably safe. See if Tracy Fleury can be the one. In turn, double peel attempt.
Is curl. Okay.
That does open up the draw path on the opposite side. Nowhere near on the double peel, but
still better.
Yeah, Rachel will feel a lot better having at least a side open. But for Team Ha, now they're able to go around that rock as well.
I think if you asked Rachel before this end started which side she would prefer, she probably would have chosen the other side.
I would agree with that.
They've thrown that in turn a lot more than they've thrown the out turn.
And Team Ha playing it now, so Rachel's going to go to school on this one too. Really got to go to get by.
It's going to be on this top guard, unfortunately.
Yeah, opportunity missed there for Team Ha. Kim here. Fleury with another attempt at the double peel now.
No.
Little flare on the release.
Gotta get it moving. Keep going.
It's close.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah.
Accomplishes the purpose.
And I'd suggest is a pro side miss. If you hit that too thick is a much worse result than that. So yeah, you would have loved to kick that yellow even further, but it still leaves you this out turn draw. And the shooter carried all the way through the hole, so.
Yeah, that's essentially a double peel. That Yellowstone shouldn't come into play at all.
The better of the two misses, I think, there for Tracy.
I would call that a make. That's
yeah, sorry.
That goes through
tolerance side.
Yeah, because even if she just had sticks on the yellow, it's a worse result than what she did. So that's a really good shot.
You think that you'd want your red rock in there, but you don't really. It's better that it's not because it just leaves everything more wide open rather than leaving Team Ha something they could use to tap or come around or whatever. Every rock right now is to the benefit of Team Ha. So for Team Homan, as few rocks as you can leave in play is ideal.
라인은 좋아. 라인 좋아.
Out turn, come around. Ha Sung-yeon. This will be completely buried as long as it's got the weight. Rachel's just going to hit the back stone and
For shot.
like to stay for shot, and Ha will be forced to play the hit and roll, try to get underneath. Would expect to see Ha call timeout on the.
They don't have any.
Oh,
Use them both.
Oh, I was looking at the star for hammer, not for the one for
Okay, so Hack's like a
timeouts,
14.
which are on the left side of the names.
Yeah.
Change the
It's gradual here.
symbol. It's stars for both. Out turn, hit, stick for Rachel Homan, trying to roll just a touch towards the center line.
Yep. Hard. Really hard. Clean. Really hard. Yep. Really gotta go him. Yep. 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 Clean. Whoa, 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 whoa. Curl.
Just want to stay for shot rock. And does. So it'll be a hit and roll or just a tap. One way or another, that red rock has to move a few inches to make the top yellow count. It's as though they are going to play the hit and roll. So trying to get behind their own stone, back of the 8-foot or back of the 12-foot.
하나 조금 안 되게 잡았어.
Right at 30 seconds right now, so plenty of time for this last throw. Ha's last rock.
아직 룸 컬.
Trying to get it to curl already.
와우. 컬. 티야 와야 돼. 계속 가야 된다 이거. 계속 오자.
Really close on the roll. Oh, great shot.
Really well
Perfectly done.
Couldn't make it any better than that.
Look at that roll by Ha Sung-yeon. So Homan will have to get half the 8-foot for the win.
Like half. She got a 14.5. Exit on my. I just think this spot might be a little bit better. You don't think so? Okay.
So I think if they're the same.
That extra. Okay. Foot less. Sounds good.
2 feet less. The call on the speed here from the sweepers. Final stone, 8th end. Rachel Homan for the win, needing half of the 8-foot.
I liked it. Line's good. It looks
Rachel
like
likes
it's a little
it.
hot.
Sweepers like it.
Oh, you like
Running it. It's curling a hair now.
Starting to turn over. Looks good.
Good judge, guys.
Rescue just valeting it into the 4-foot. That will be a final. Rachel Homan with the draw to the 4-foot for the victory. 7-4 over Ha Sung-yeon. A battle back and forth throughout. Homan comes out on top, so they go to 1-0. One more draw left tonight. Our feature matchup this evening for men's draw number 2, Matt Dunstone taking on Joel Retornaz. Brent Lang and Connor Negevin on the call tonight. But for Chelsea Carey and myself, Tyler George, signing off. Tune in later tonight again, 6:30 for the feature matchup here at the WFG Masters from Guelph, Ontario. Thanks for watching.